On the Rhythm, the Blueprint series. I am Philip Lanos, your host. This show is about how personal philosophy affects creative work and life. You'll hear from successful writers, vloggers, and business content creators that are living proof of the benefits of discipline. Beyond bragging rights, this show is about sharing their blueprint with you. Open heart, open mind, and ask questions. Maybe this is the blueprint for you. I want to tell you a little bit about our guest today. His name is Fishkin, and he goes by the ludicrous title of Wizard of MOZ. He's founder and former CEO of SEO software startup MOZ, host of Whiteboard Fridays, which I'm a big fan of personally, co-author of a pair of books on SEO, co-founder of inbound.org, and serves on the board of the presentation software firm Haiku Deck. Rand's currently writing a book for Penguin Random House on the ups and downs of startup culture, due out in 2018. Over the last decade, MOZ has grown to become one of the most visible companies in the marketing world, to the point where he's been invited to speak at Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and he's even given presentations at the United Nations, Stanford University, Public Media, NPR, Y Combinator, and Hackers and Founders. Rand, I'm a big fan of your Whiteboard Fridays. When I first came across them, I was working at a marketing agency in New York, and it served me very well and it allowed me to get promoted several times over just because I would bring the insights that you were dropping, the knowledge bombs, voraciously watched your videos. And I said to myself, God, this guy really gets it. And he's so committed to just putting out content consistently. Now, that's not something that everybody can do. So I have to know, do you have a personal philosophy?
Yeah, I think personal philosophy is probably the best way to describe it, right? Because for me, content, production and sort of sharing things that I learned and sharing my experiences and trying to help people understand, both the practices of SEO and, as I come to share more things about broader web marketing as well as, entrepreneurship and tech. I think that comes just from a deep-rooted place of wanting to share. I have this, I like to say that there's a hole in my chest. You can't see it, this giant hole, and it can only be filled by the praise of, people across the web and friends and colleagues saying like, that thing you made really helped me to understand this concept or do this thing or accomplish that task or, to your point, get a raise or move up in my profession. And the hole empties out pretty much every week. So if I'm not producing new things, sharing new things that people find valuable and getting that praise, that hole is empty. For me, it's like a calling, a need. It's less tactical and less about marketing and building a brand and more just about satisfying this compulsion that I have.
It's also so well formulated and targeted. So are you saying that even though it does come from a place of literally just great needs, which makes it essentially an art, what you're doing?
Yeah. So one of the things that's definitely true is as you invest in, I think in any practice, right? What you find is that you're terrible at it when you start in content marketing and SEO and social media and, whatever channels you choose to pursue to market your business or your personal brand or whatever it is, whatever message you're trying to share, you will suck at it. I sucked at it. I don't know if Philip, I don't know if you've ever watched the Whiteboard Fridays from like 2007, 2008, even 2009. They were awful. I mean, they are, some of the content is mildly helpful, potentially, at least at the time, but the production value is bad. I'm bad on camera. The editing's terrible. The lighting's bad. The content itself is, I'll make a mistake and go back and, not correct it. It's pretty terrible. But by investing in it over time, over many, many years, we got better at it. And what we found, when Whiteboard Friday first launched, probably for the first 2 years it was out there, it performed worse than all the rest of our content. So it was the worst performing post on average that we would produce each week for MOZ. And I was writing for the MOZ blog, 4 days a week, and then posting Whiteboard Friday on Friday. And we stuck with it because we felt like, and I really felt like, once we got good at it, it would turn into something powerful. And I thought that because video was an unusual medium for sharing, SEO information, that we had an advantage, a competitive advantage that we could build. And, turns out that assumption was correct. 3 years into it, Whiteboard Friday was among the sort of performing at more of an average level. And these days, just 10 years later, it is consistently the best performing content that we put out on MOZ. And we have a bunch of ways of tracking the metrics from assisted conversion. So does the content we produce result in people who viewed that content taking a free trial of MOZ or converting to a paid membership, that kind of thing. And Whiteboard Friday is consistently on top, not just in terms of conversion metrics, but also traffic metrics and social sharing and visibility. So yeah, very, very powerful thing to sort of be willing to invest in something for the long term, even when the early returns don't look good.
You were able to do that while simultaneously running a company. One of the biggest pushbacks I get as someone who's looking to help people create content is that they simply can't schedule the time. They don't find the time. But you say this comes from a need, so time isn't the issue. Is that what's going on?
Well, that's part of it. I also don't have children, which I think is a cheat code. Many folks are strapped in that way. But I would say a few things about that. One is you, the CEO and founder, do not have to be the content creator, right? You can either outsource this or hire people, bring people into the fold to do that work for you. And if you prioritize it in terms of your marketing spend and your investments and your employee costs, you can absolutely do it that way. The second thing I'd say is it doesn't have to be weekly. Right. I mean, I think that Whiteboard Friday could easily be something that only happens on the first Friday of every month. Right. And it's, and you make it more of a special event, but I only film 12 of them a year instead of 52. And that works, that would work just fine as well. So the cadence can be up to you and the investment can be up to you. It is not, there's not a forced schedule for any of this stuff. Good examples of this. Think of Kleiner Perkins Caulfield Byers, right? KPCB in the venture space. They produce basically one piece of content a year. It's Mary Meeker's Internet Trends Report, which pretty much everyone in the technology field and many hundreds of thousands of people outside the technology field read. And that report is something people look forward to and they will use in their slide decks, for that whole year. And, people chart trends across it. And that one document has probably made KPCB's reputation in the field, massively bigger and built their brand vastly more than any other piece of, marketing work that they've done. But they only do one of it, and only one person works on it, and it's only produced once a year. So, it is not the case that you have to try and find time every day or every week for this stuff. It can be a more occasional effort.
So would you say that KPCB would have I don't want you to speak for them, but if you had to guess, do you think there's a sense of mission involved? And is there a sense of mission involved in Whiteboard Fridays now? I
mean, for MOZ, absolutely, right? Because for me, the mission is make information about SEO and web marketing accessible to everyone, and help people do better marketing, right? That is my mission. That's been MOZ's mission for, the last 13 years now. But for KPCB, I think Mary Meeker's Internet Trends Report is really a strategic piece of content that is created to help them both understand the landscape of, the fields that they're making investments in, and also to improve their reputation among technologists and entrepreneurs and people in the startup world, so that when someone says, hey, you should talk to so-and-so at KPCB, everyone goes, oh yeah, I've heard of them. I know them. They're thought leaders in this space. They know what they're doing. They're savvy. I would love to talk to them. I would love to see if they're a good match for for the company I'm building, that kind of thing. And I think the Internet Trends Report has been very successful for them in terms of helping to improve their brand reputation and their recognition and get them probably a bunch of deals that they otherwise wouldn't have gotten.
Speaking of brand and reputation, you happen to be the wizard. Now, did you sort of fall into that, or did you decide, I need to create this and Because I mean, the mustache is wicked and it's definitely cool. I can't grow one like that. I just don't have the discipline. So maybe there's something you can share just on that topic in regards to branding, or if this is just something that you personally just do for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, on the personal branding front, I've done things for years. So the first conference I ever went to in the marketing space was 2005. And I'd only ever, connected with folks online. So I think I mentioned on my blog that I'd be wearing yellow shoes, right? And now that's sort of become a trademark that, you'll see Rand on stage with in yellow shoes. But the mustache, that was less personal branding and more internal bet gone awry. So when I was CEO of MOZ in 2013, I basically told everyone at the company, hey, I'm going to grow my mustache out until we're profitable again. Because I think it's very important for MOZ to be profitable. And even though we're venture backed and that's unusual, that's something that was always, important to me. When I stepped down as CEO, I sort of expected that my successor would take up that mantle and continue aiming towards profitability. But she chose instead to sort of do a spend faster to grow faster strategy. And so I ended up having a mustache for 3 years. And we only got back to being profitable again in January of this year. So I shaved it in February. So I no longer have the mustache, but yeah, it's one of those, don't bet your facial hair on company metrics that you can't control lessons.
It's definitely better than shaving off the eyebrows.
Oh my God. Yes.
That's amazing. I had to ask because it's definitely one of the defining characteristics. And as somebody who does what you do, I had to know whether it was on purpose or is some seriously gone wrong bet.
Yeah.
No. Oh, and I have to ask, just out of curiosity, do you listen to any podcasts at all?
I do actually. My wife and I pretty regularly listen to Pod Save America. And have ventured into some other podcasts as well, but that's probably the one we're most religious about.
What do you think is the appeal to you about it? I mean, if I could just ask.
Oh, sure. I think it's one of those podcasts that makes me feel smarter and more informed about, what things are going on. I'm a relative, I wouldn't say I'm a political junkie, but I'm someone who likes to stay very informed about political topics. The nice thing about Pod Save America is those are 3 guys who worked in various roles in the White House for the previous administration, but have a really good understanding of kind of the mechanics and the underpinnings of American politics at the national level work and function, how government works and functions, and so when they analyze a topic, they'll sort of have very interesting insights about, hey, when, for example, if the United States wants to engage in a nuclear war, what does that actually look like? Who has to talk to who can approve it? Who can stop it from happening? What is sort of the order of operations there? What are the players? What are the political consequences and all of those kinds of things? And that's really good to sort of feel like you have an understanding of it from an operations level. And maybe that's just, the CEO and me who sort of likes to understand the inner workings.
One of the main reasons why I'm so happy to have you on is because you are living proof that content done right can do amazing things for not only the world and its education at large, but also for a company. And, and I deal with entrepreneurs on a regular basis as anyone in business would. And it's really refreshing to have it come straight from experience to be able to say, yes, creating and building relationships is still important. It's not just about the bottom line. There is no one shares ads.
No, they do not.
And it's just amazing to say with confidence, to have someone here who has lived it. I mean, when did you first decide, I think content is going to be the way to make that happen? Were you able to see it as a wave that was coming, or?
The other way around, actually. So I started investing in content and then realized I could build a business from that. So, when I started the MOZ blog, it was then called SEO MOZ. This was back in 2003. And basically, I had been putzing around on a bunch of, forums and other websites and commenting on other people's stuff. And I decided I wanted a place to share my own content. And so started that up. And over time, over the next few years, sort of built up a lot of traffic to this site. And, it was all these professional SEOs and web marketers coming and reading, trying to learn about, the practice of SEO. And, we had built some tools for ourselves. We made those, publicly available through a subscription. And we didn't know what SaaS was, right? We didn't understand subscription businesses at all. But when we launched those, the fact that this content was attracting all of these sort of right visitors and right customers for us meant that we had a built-in audience who was ready to buy and excited to buy, and that that turned into a really exciting business. And today MOZ is probably around a $45 million a year company with 160 odd people and 30,000 plus customers. So it's been really kind of exciting to see how content can build the basis for a business.
I learned from one of your videos that search engines can't necessarily develop an understanding of what a video is communicating or what an audio track is communicating without some surrounding text.
Yeah.
Right. So that tells me automatically the implication that I receive is that blogs are going to be around for a very long time.
Well, and transcriptions too, right? So we use a service called SpeechPad for Whiteboard Friday, and they do basically a very high quality manual hand translation or transcription of the content. And then, they break that out into paragraphs and they format things, and they'll take little clips of the visual from the whiteboard image and put that into the post itself. And, it makes for a much higher quality experience. And I think it's something high, like 40%, maybe 45% of visitors who visit a Whiteboard Friday video don't actually watch the video, but they read the content. And so that transcription is hugely important. Maybe you're on a bus and, you don't have your headphones. So you read instead of watching, or maybe, you're at work and you can't watch a video right then, or you want to be able to read word by word, or you want to be able to copy and paste things. So I think that transcriptions are hugely helpful, whether your format is audio or video. That transcription, I think, is crucial, not only to search engines, but also to human visitors. And
one of the things that I always try to start off any conversation with whenever I'm talking to someone about creating content, and maybe you can add to this, is I'll tell them, what is your purpose for creating this content to begin with? Are you looking to educate, to inspire, to entertain?
I always say, content for its own sake is worthless, right? You need to have a strategy behind that. Who are you trying to reach? How will you influence them? Why will this piece of content be helpful to them? Why will it be something that makes them like you, remember you, want to amplify you? One of the questions that I always tell marketers is, if you don't have a great answer to the question, who will help amplify this and why, don't produce it. Don't bother making it. It is worthless. Content that sits on your website that no one sees, why bother? Why'd you do that? Awesome talking with you, and look forward to connecting in the future too.
Thank you for coming on to the show, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks for listening. I hope this blueprint will help you own the rhythm in your space. Feel free to subscribe and reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter at Philip Lanos, PhillipLanos. Also, you can visit OwnTheRhythm.com if you want help producing your podcast. Open heart, open mind, and ask questions. Stay tuned for the next blueprint.